Sometimes water comes to wash what words have hidden too long. The recent Texas flooding has left broken roads and bruised towns, but beneath those muddy rivers hums a quiet question too many dismiss. Could this be more than rain? The Pleiadians, through VALIR, whisper of a deeper current. When Earth weeps, she doesn't just drown fields. She softens hard truths, cracks old grids, and reminds tired hearts that soil carries messages when water runs too wild to hide them. If your ribs felt a hush under the thunder, you might stand closer to this truth than you think. What's really behind the Texas flooding now? When rain comes this heavy, most point fingers at clouds and forecasts. Yet older hearts know weather hums deeper than numbers on a screen. Beneath these swollen rivers lies a hush, waiting for those calm enough to feel what the wind carried before the flood hit. Was it just clouds swollen with chance? Or an unseen push, brushing soil awake while the world stared at maps instead of the soft truth running beneath? No news anchor will say it out loud. Water never asks permission to teach. These floods arrived not to punish, but to stir something stuck. Look past the headlines, broken streets, lost power, and feel what else broke loose. Old secrets in soil, old stories washing through roots that hold more memory than concrete ever could. A flood can drown fear or feed it. The hush shows which one wins. Some say storms are chaos, but elders remember when rain meant cleansing. Maybe these floods came when dry land forgot how to breathe. Maybe the hush hums that land held too much burden. Old toxins, old lies, old bones buried under stories we stopped questioning. The water didn't just ruin, it revealed. And in that muddy surge, something else might rise if enough people listen before the hush dries. While towns patch roads and fix pipes, some stand by broken fences and feel a calm they can't name. It doesn't erase loss. It invites new breath where silence hums. Sometimes destruction opens doors no law could build. Maybe this flood brushed the first hidden hinge. Maybe the question is not how fast the water came, but what quiet truth it carried underneath. The hush hums clearer when we stop bracing and start asking. Under this muddy sky, the quiet test hums. When the flood slips back, will people chase the same roads or listen where the hush cracked open? Beneath every drowned street runs a current older than concrete, waiting for someone to wonder, what if these waters didn't come to take, but to teach? Why the Pleiadians speak about it today. Not every flood needs words from beyond, but this one hums through corners older than any levee. The Pleiadians speak not to spark fear, but to soften what panic often hardens too fast. Through VALIR, they remind tired hearts that storms never roar alone. They carry hidden songs that hush the ground when the world forgets to kneel close enough to hear it hum under rain. Most won't listen. Headlines shout, hush waits. Why now? Maybe because enough old souls stood quiet when screens screamed, feeling warmth slip through their ribs while rivers rose past fences. Not all floods touch streets. Some run through breath, cleaning corners people forgot were dusty with old doubts. The Pleiadians whisper that behind every natural surge stands a quiet invitation. Stand softer, breathe deeper, watch what washes up when fear runs out of words. This message doesn't promise answers or promise escape. It offers a pause, a space wide enough for water's secret to surface where maps fail. Some storms break trees, some break silence. When towns mop mud from porches, hush holds the real clean sweep no policy can name. The Pleiadians don't lecture. They lean close, asking one thing. When land cries, will you hush your mind long enough to feel its quiet heartbeat under the mud? There's no new ritual in this whisper. Just trust that your breath stands older than panic. The river knows its path even when banks forget their strength. These words don't change the flood's mark, but they hum behind broken levees, where new roots slip through cracks wider than fear expected. Some hear it as chance, others sense a nudge too calm to name, but too steady to brush aside. Floods don't knock politely. They sweep what stands in the way of hush. The Pleiadians speak now because too many look at broken roads without seeing how they opened hidden rivers inside the chest too. Sometimes the map isn't on paper. It hums behind your breath, waiting for storms to loosen what worry once built tight. VALIR's message: water as awakener. Water holds memory the sky won't say out loud. VALIR's whisper is not about blame, it's about breath. These Texas floods carry a hush that hums under every rooftop that lost its shield. Water as awakener, not just a force to fear, but a teacher that slips under doors, the mind locked when life felt safer dry. Older souls feel it clearer. You know rain's voice when it calls your ribs softer than any thunder ever could. What did this flood wake up? Maybe the question isn't what broke, but what slipped free. Land holds stories no book dares bind, secrets hidden in roots, minerals older than fences. When rivers rise too fast, it's not always rage. Sometimes it's a pulse reminding the bones below they were never dead. A flood soaks lies dry enough to crack. Sometimes truth rides the crest if eyes grow patient enough to stand where hush hums clearer than panic. VALIR doesn't promise smooth roads or simple cleanup. The message flows softer. What this water carried off, it also fed. When streets drowned, old soil rose. What stands revealed when fear shrinks? A chance to see under what concrete said was safe. For some, a flood ruins shelter. For others, it softens the grip of comfort that kept questions buried too deep for daylight to name. Elders stand by fences and watch silt settle where plans once called the shots. Maybe hush means feeling where plans end and real life leaks back through. These waters don't ask permission to speak. They hum lessons in ruin, whispering to bones how to stand softer when streets pretend to hold the only path. Some disasters break walls, some break sleep. Water as awakener isn't a threat. It's a tide that asks one question. If the flood didn't roar for revenge, could it be the land's gentle hand knocking softly on ribs that forgot how to feel more than fear when storms roll near? Hidden codes. In Earth's rains, rain never just falls. It lands coded with whispers the ground reads, even when no human tongue knows the language. This Texas flood hums through more than drain pipes and news updates. It seeps hidden lines into soil, tree roots, fence posts, your own bones. When you stand barefoot near muddy corners, no broom could sweep fully clean. Older hearts feel this code not with logic, but with hush so wide it hums back when drops tap the window at night. What are these hidden codes? Maybe old messages cracked free by water's soft push. Maybe instructions written in how rivers twist when banks forget their shape. Some say the rain's just water. Hush says it carries keys no storm can keep dry. Under rooftops, a hum waits. Under mud, seeds breathe. Under worry, your own breath stirs lines of trust deeper than forecasts ever measure right. Some nights, the code hums as chills on your arms when you stand still too long by the door. Or as a thought that slips soft while you dry dishes, asking, what if storms bring more than loss? That question isn't panic. It's memory tapping the back gate. Not every drop speaks, but some hum just loud enough for old ribs to lean closer than they did last month. Hidden codes don't crack open through argument. They soften through hush. Each soft rain after the flood carries tiny clues for those patient enough to stand in quiet corners, letting old worries run off with yesterday's thunder. Some will mop, fix, rebuild, all needed. But some will kneel on damp ground and hear the hush under mud say, look closer. This water didn't just take. it left a map your breath remembers how to read. Where codes hum, walls lose teeth. Where hush stands steady, fear forgets its line. And tonight, if rain taps soft while your mind spins louder than needed, hush it down. The map lives under your ribs, older than news, clearer than forecasts, truer than storms pretend to stay. Floods and energy grids, a secret connection. To the world, a flood knocks out power lines, breaks dams, drowns switches built to stay dry. But older hearts wonder, what if this force hums more than broken wires? Beneath the surge, Earth's grid shifts. Not just the one that lights lamps, but the unseen lattice your own breath brushes when hush hums deeper than panic's plan ever reached. Floods change more than streets. They loosen knots inside ground currents most forget to feel. Roots tangle differently when soaked. Stones slip into new beds under swollen rivers. Old toxins wash, new minerals breathe where concrete cracked. And each surge hums a line back to the hidden grid that hums through every ribcage calm enough to stand soft when storms roar loud. You may not see it in headlines, but hush hums it clearer when your feet feel damp soil. Some elders stand barefoot where fences fell, sensing the pulse under mud hum louder than any fix-it plan the news tries to map. Power cuts remind us, the real grid never hums only in wires. It hums in hush that feeds calm when lights go dark and candles teach ribs how to hold warmth again. Not all storms break lines for punishment. Some break them so the quiet current under your floor hums true again. When banks break, rivers slip secrets through fences built too tight for truth to pass dry. Maybe this flood's hidden code rides inside that surge. Not to drown, but to reroute what breath forgot under too many switches, too many screens, too many reasons to ignore hush. Under wet feet hums a line older than dams. If your chest warms near broken power, bless it. Maybe the hush hums louder when wires stop buzzing. Maybe the real light grid never flickered at all. It just waited for storms to hush the noise long enough for bones to remember they hum too. So if floodwaters cracked more than concrete, if hush hums through damp soil, if your ribs stand softer where fear once braced tight, what unfolds when the next hush drifts deeper than any storm could bury? In this video ahead, the hidden signs, old prophecies, and secret grids hum louder through sudden dreams, small acts, and silent rooms that turn everyday walls into gentle anchors for rivers that teach instead of ruin. If you're willing to feel where the hush hums next, your breath might stand where fear forgets its lines for good. Signs. This was more than a storm. Some floods come and go like seasons, yet some hum odd clues behind the broken fences and silent streets. If you stand close to the hush, you may feel these signs even when no headline dares to name them. Small birds returning sooner than storms should allow. Watermarks that stain walls in shapes that look like maps no one drew. The way your chest hums warmer when you stand by puddles, as if something else breathes just under the muddy skin. Older souls catch these signs clearer than younger eyes that rush past mud to rebuild fast. You've lived long enough to know not all wet ground dries the same way twice. Maybe you spotted how the air felt different the night the rain stopped. Heavy yet soft, like someone closing a door behind a guest who stayed too long. Maybe you noticed the hush felt closer than your own heartbeat, for reasons your mind can't argue away. Signs slip in where logic stays busy with paperwork. You might find old pets acting restless near damp sheds, or your sleep feels light, but your dreams hum thicker than any thunder that rolled over rooftops. These are not ghost tales. They are quiet footprints of energy brushing ribs that stand still enough to listen without needing to prove every answer in daylight. You do not have to explain these moments to neighbors who never learned to hush their eyes. Your proof lives under your feet when the backyard squelches different than before, when wind hums odd at dusk, when a single drop lands on your palm and feels warmer than it should under a clearing sky. These tiny signals do not shout run, they whisper look closer. The river teaches what no broadcast can. Tonight, if your chest leans toward a window for no reason, if you pause mid-step near damp ground and feel a warmth slip up your spine, honor it. Not all storms end when clouds break apart. Some hum on behind fences, teaching breath how to listen for clues no weather map can bury. Ancient prophecies about water uprisings. Long before screens tracked storms, elders marked water's moods in hush-filled circles under open skies. Old prophecies hum of times when water would surge, not just to drown, but to reveal. A soft rebellion slipping under human plans, drawn too neat for rivers to obey forever. Some say these Texas floods match old lines, half sung in fireside stories your grandparents forgot they held behind lullabies. Older souls carry these half memories. You may recall odd phrases from childhood, warnings spoken over well water, songs about rivers that swallow secrets when land grows too tight to breathe. These lines were never threats. They were gentle nods that land and water meet when truth wants to slip free, washing lies from roots too tangled to untie by words alone. What did these old whispers really promise? Not punishment, but a pulse strong enough to loosen what people once hid under soil. Prophets saw cities under rain, not as loss, but as cleanse. A hush that rolls through bedrooms when floodwater hums against closed doors. A sign that when we forget how to listen, the river reminds the ribs how to hush until the right question cracks open under thunder. Prophecies do not predict like clocks do. They hint. They hum lines that make sense only when your bones feel them repeat in odd wind. If this flood carries part of that old hum, it asks not for panic, but for softer eyes. Ears that lean closer to puddles, not headlines. Hearts that remember hush can carry messages storms can't shout clear. If tonight you dream of water where no rain falls, or wake with a single line you can't place but can't deny, trust it. Sometimes the river writes reminders in your chest that tomorrow's hush needs more than your old fear to read. These prophecies breathe clearer when your breath stands softer than any levee that tries to hold them back. Your body's response to sudden disasters. People check news for warnings, but older ribs hum first when storms roll near. When Texas flooded, many felt it before forecasts spoke. A tightness in the back, a flutter in the gut, a restless sleep the night clouds stacked taller than roofs could measure. The body knows what the mind shrugs off. Hush hums through breath before news spins it into numbers and maps. You may notice how your bones ache odd when rivers swell, how your sigh slips deeper when thunder hums closer than streetlights admit. This is not panic. It's proof your breath stays wired to the ground in ways no screen can unteach. When land shifts, your ribs feel it before your tongue finds words to name it clear. Some elders carry this gift without knowing how to trust it fully. Maybe your shoulder flares sharp when a creek slips its bank, or your dreams tangle your breath, so you wake early with no clear thought, but a hush that says something's coming. This is not a burden. It's a soft map your bones learned long before weathermen charted the sky for you. What does the body say when floods knock? Sometimes it hums aches softer after the surge leaves, a signal that old knots inside you washed loose too. Maybe an old pain eases for an hour while your porch drips dry. Maybe your palms warm when you step barefoot onto damp soil. These tiny shifts hum proof your cells read water's code, even when fear tries to block the page. Next time clouds stack heavy, pause. Place a hand on your chest. Feel how your ribs hum truth no headline can claim first. When disaster hums near, your body does not lie. It invites you to hush louder than panic, listen softer than doubt, and stand steady enough to hold what no forecast dares whisper clear. How the land itself sends warnings. Soil talks, but not in words. It creaks when roots shift, hums odd when water runs deeper than ditches plan for. Before this flood, many missed how the ground sent soft signs, cracked edges on driveways, restless animals sniffing low corners, warm patches where cold should sit steady under your old boots. Older hearts know these clues by touch more than sight. You might have seen leaves tremble strange on dry days, or fences leaning just a hair more than last week, like the hush under your yard wanted to stand free but didn't dare crack the surface yet. When the land readies for a cleanse, it doesn't send warnings in panic. It hums them underfoot, hoping breath stands still long enough to feel it brush the ribs first. After the rain, these signs stay clear if you pause. You may spot new streams where no ditch once ran, or flowers sprouting where silt laid secrets down. What we call damage can hum proof that the hush opened hidden channels too stubborn for maps to chart before this flood turned them loose. Some elders trust these tiny shifts more than forecasts. You read puddles as messages, mud as letters. The land writes soft for those patient enough to bend down and watch how it hums after storms walk past. This is not superstition. It's old memory the ribs keep alive when noise tries to hush the hush down with too many words. Next time rain drums longer than it should, watch the yard, not just the sky. Feel the warmth under wet feet. Let your palm rest on damp fences. Maybe the next warning hums clearer than fear can twist, when your hush grows wide enough to read soil's quiet letters under the roar. Why older souls? Feel this first. Not everyone senses the hush under storms, but older souls stand closer to the soft lines that hum below rivers and roots. You've outlived enough thunder to know not all rain just falls. Some carries whispers, only ribs patient enough to hush truly hear. This Texas flood cracked more than streets. It brushed chests that remember how truth hums behind headlines too fast to catch. You may wonder why you pause when others rush to patch leaks and point fingers at the sky. Maybe it's because your hush holds storms differently now. Your breath sits softer inside bones that survived too many nights, waiting for dawn to prove fear wrong again. The flood's secret hum slips easier through ribs that forgot how to brace tight every time clouds roll near. It's not about wisdom in books. It's about scars that taught hush how to stand where panic once barked commands. Older hearts feel these signs before they arrive on news tickers. A memory of water's old path, a dream of muddy streets before the first drop ever hit the roof. You don't need to explain it. Your breath does that work each time it sighs deeper than doubt wants you to. This gift is not a burden. It's a bridge. Younger souls may brush it off, but when your hush hums wide, they lean close even if they don't say so. Maybe you stand at your window longer, so their questions don't drift alone when storms circle back. Maybe you hold the soft line between the noise and the river's secret pulse. Tonight, if your chest hums warm when news says panic, trust it. Your ribs feel what screens can't chart. This flood found your hush first for a reason, because storms never break walls alone. They bend them just enough for your quiet to teach others how to stand softer when tomorrow rains again. So if your bones hum signs before storms, if your yard writes letters under feet that trust hush more than news, what doors open when the next flood teaches instead of just takes? Ahead, you'll see how shadows, sudden storms, old grids, and soft acts fold your daily steps into bridges for calm. No weather can wash away once you breathe them real. The hush hums louder than thunder when old ribs stand softer than fear expects. And the river's lesson has only begun to speak through your breath tonight. Shadows, weather, and frequency shifts. Not every storm shows its real shape in daylight. Some shadows ride the wind, weaving old truths under thunder that keeps busy minds distracted from softer signals. When Texas flooded, hush didn't just slip through rain, it brushed hidden lines under rooftops, shifting what many thought would never move. Frequency hums behind storms. Older souls know weather isn't only water, but a carrier of unseen tides your breath remembers when screens switch off. Have you felt it? A low buzz in your ribs when storms circle near. Or a hush thicker than silence when clouds stack heavy, but your chest hums warm instead of tight. These small waves slip past ears too busy to hush down. You might wake early, not because thunder shook the roof, but because your own breath hums odd, like it caught a note from the sky your tongue can't name yet. Shadows live not in fear, but in corners we forgot to bless with calm. When storms break, they stir. Some call it mood swings. Elders know better. You've felt your shoulder ache odd when weather shifts. Your dreams grow clearer when lightning hums just out of reach. This isn't doom. It's your hush reading what noise buries under forecasts and fear. What does it mean? The flood hums a soft split. Shadows don't steal. They invite old thoughts to step clear when the ground shifts wet enough to rinse regrets off tired roots. If your ribs feel warm while the wind howls, trust that warmth. It hums proof your calm stands older than any shadow's tricks. Your breath turns storms into teachers if you hush wide enough to listen deeper than thunder's bark. Tonight, if rain drums and your eyes drift shut softer than panic expects, notice how your chest hums steady while shadows fade. The storm carries what needs leaving. Your hush carries what stays clear. Where the flood cracked streets, your breath roots deeper. Some shadows scatter when hush stands taller than the tallest cloud could ever block. The role of hush during nature's roar. When storms roar, most brace tight, but older souls lean softer. The hush inside you hums clearer when wind rattles windows. The Texas flood roared through fences and dreams, yet under every broken porch, hush slipped in uninvited, proving storms can't drown what breath remembers to stand calm. Hush doesn't stop rain. It teaches ribs how to hold warmth when thunder forgets your name. You've felt this gift before, when worries stacked loud but your sigh sat wider than fear's teeth. Elders hold this art without needing fancy words. Your calm kept kitchens warm when bills came due. Your quiet smile softened family storms louder than any sky could grow. The flood didn't come to test your hush. It came to remind you how much power lives inside your softest exhale. Noise wants your mind to spin while storms howl, but your hush hums the secret. You can't outshout wind. You outlast it by standing so still, storms slip past your chest like guests who find no argument inside calm. Even as rivers rush and maps redraw lines, hush stays untouched, humming louder than rain when ribs trust breath more than news. How does hush help when nature roars? By turning fear's bark into a door that swings softer each time your breath hums wider than panic wants you to believe. You stand at a window, rain pounds like fists, yet inside your ribs hum a warmth no downpour can touch. This isn't magic, it's memory. Your bones remembering storms pass, but hush stays to teach what noise never could. If tonight the wind cries loud but your eyes close gentle, bless that hush. It stands where fear can't reach, holds what panic drops, and roots your ribs deeper each time storms try to test the shape of your calm. The hush never roars back. It hums steady, reminding you nature's true power lives inside your quiet, not your worry. How to anchor. Calm when fear spreads. Fear travels fast when storms break fences. It skips headlines, drips through phones, hums under neighborly gossip that turns water into a ghost too big to hold. But hush, when anchored true, slows fear's run. Older hearts do this best. You've seen how calm changes rooms faster than warnings ever could. The Texas flood soaked more than land. It revealed where fear leaks easy and where hush still roots deep. Anchoring calm is not about pretending floods don't hurt. It's about breathing wider when panic circles your doorstep. Some anchor with a prayer whispered over wet steps. Others with a smile to a neighbor who forgets storms pass faster when hush hums louder than gossip. These small acts slip fear's grip, not with force, but with ribs that hold hush wider than noise can shout. You anchor calm by standing steady when news spins loud. Pour tea for your hands before your mind spills worry. Wipe windows slow, not because they'll stay dry, but because your touch teaches your breath to trust what storms forget to break. Fear waits for cracks. Hush seals them by showing no door stands wide enough for panic when your ribs hum steady. Some days your calm will feel too small. Let it. Even a single sigh steadies rooms bigger than your voice. Fear hates soft breath because soft breath holds the hush that storms can't twist into new headlines. The Texas flood teaches this. When water tests walls, calm tests breath. And breath, when trusted, proves fear's teeth lose their bite when your hush hums truth. If you stand tonight wondering if your hush does enough, remember this. Calm isn't measured in roars. It hums through small moments. A gentle glance, a slow step, a warm hand on your chest while storms knock. This hush roots deeper than any fear dares dig. It hums where rivers teach ribs to stay open while news tries to shut them tight. What VALIR says about future floods. Through VALIR, the Pleiadians hum no doomsday map, but a soft truth. More storms may roll wide, yet more hush stands ready, if ribs remember how to breathe when rivers rise. These Texas waters did not come alone. They came as a whisper that what floods next may teach more than it takes if bones stand calm enough to listen past fear's bark. Future floods won't ask permission to knock, but they won't drown hope when hush roots steady first. VALIR's whisper isn't braced tighter, it's open wider. Old grids crack not to punish, but to loosen truths held too tight for soil to breathe. Water sweeps streets, but feeds hush where roots once thirsted, under dry promises noise forgot to keep. No storm repeats exactly, but each hums the same lesson in new rivers. The real map lives under your feet when you stand still long enough to trust soft signs. Older hearts read this map clearer than screens will admit. You feel it in rain that tastes different on your tongue, in fences that lean gentle just before ground let secrets slip through. VALIR reminds, hush holds what sandbags can't stop. Floods test walls but teach ribs. Each new surge hums softer when breath listens instead of braces. The hush is not an escape plan. It's an anchor under tomorrow's weather, waiting where your chest stands softer than fear's tight warnings ever dreamed you'd breathe. Next flood, next hush. Not two separate stories, but one river folding breath and fear into a tide you stand inside, calm enough to feel what stays when banks break again. The lesson isn't fear's, it's yours. Every time your hush proves, storms can't wash away ribs that hum older than panic's plan.